Welcome everybody to the Craps Journey podcast, episode 3. My name is Aaron, and in this episode, I'm going to be talking about a don't pass strategy. This strategy leads on from episode 2, where I showed my from humble beginnings, how I used to bet. In this video, I'm going to be showing you a slightly augmented version of that. It's a don't pass strategy that I picked up from the WinCraps software. They had a bet file in there that you can automate the betting and do some simulations with it. And I thought, gee, this is very similar to how I actually used to bet, except it's actually well thought out and comes with a system. So it's similar to, I would call it more like a martingale type of system, which is a negative. If you're falling behind, then you bet more to recap your losses. So let's just run through it and I can show it to you. So let's buy in. So I'm using the WinCraps software. Oh, that's right, I have to buy in, so I have to click the rail. I'll add my player. Today I'm going to buy in with $1,000 and I'll explain why. Based on the betting strategy, you can then decide what sort of money it would take to sufficiently handle that betting strategy should it go through its full negative cycle and you lose consistently through that cycle of the betting strategy. How much money do you have to support that strategy? And that's why I love the WinCraps system, because I can load up a strategy, I can program it to run a strategy or just run it manually myself. And I can see if I get ground down into basically bankrupt, I know that I didn't either start with enough or the strategy was no good to begin with. So that way, before I even go out to the casino, I can run that strategy multiple times over multiple sessions to see how does this strategy hold up against what would be considered a hot roll or a cold roll or a choppy rolls. You can see how it all plays out. So I'm going to buy in for 1,000. Okay, now I am going to load up my betting file. So this is the beauty of WinCraps. So let me just open up my strategy. Okay, I'll activate that. And essentially, as you can see in this screen here, we've got a program, and it runs through how should the WinCraps software make bets. So you've got your strategy, you know what strategy you want to implement, and then you program it. You don't have to do it this way, but since I am a software geek, I do enjoy doing this. So if you do have a strategy and you want me to program it for you, I'm more than happy to do that and test it out at the same time. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to test out several people's strategies and any strategies, and I'll see if I can either get my hands on a bet file or create the bet file. Once you get going with it, it's not too bad. If you've got a bit of a background in programming, you can sort of understand it. And if you don't, there's plenty of help videos, help files to sort of explain it. But you can always run it manually, but I like using the automation. So we've started up. This is a don't pass strategy with a regression. So let's explain what it is. So it's a 3-tier progression using the don't pass. If the shooter makes 3 passes, then stop betting until the shooter 7's out. Bet in 3 tiers of 10, 20, 30, 30, 60, 90, 90, 180, 270. So it's not essentially a martingale or Fibonacci or anything like that. I don't think it is. It's just a very simple system. So we start off, we're betting $10 on the don'ts, and we will start with the rolling. So essentially, I'm going to be manually rolling, but I could also do an auto roll with the software, but I'm just going to be manually rolling with the software and let the auto betting take over, so I don't have to sit there and do the betting. So let's run through it. So we start with $10 on the pass line. Let's start. So point is 8, 5, 9, 7. So we win. So we are going to take the bet at our winnings. Then the software says, okay, we're going to start over again. So it automatically places another $10 because it's a new hand. We're going to place another $10. It automatically does that. So I don't have to sit here and feed it all the time. So I can run through the progressions as it goes. I can run through the hands as it moves. So here we go. So right, 7, we lost. We lost on the come out with a 7. It has increased my bet to 20 straight away. I'm 20 now on the don'ts. And down here in my chip tray, I've got 4 placeholders. These placeholders can be programmed to do different things. So in placeholder number 1, I've set up a key here that I've lost 1 time. So that's how I know I can move up to 20, because I lost my $10. Now I'm going to bet 20 on the don't pass to try and make that up. So 11, I lost again on the come out. We're still on the come out. So now my bets have ratcheted up to $30. That's the next one in the sequence. I'll just bring that over here so we can see it a little bit. So here we are. We have $10, $20, $30 now on the same shooter. We're up to $30. The rule is that if we lose 3 times on the same better, that we're going to stop for that better and let them just fade out. Okay, so now the point is 8, 4, 9, 9, 4, 9, 5, and they made their point of 8. So it says that's 3 losses on this shooter. Betting will stop now until this shooter 7's out. Then betting will continue on the next tier up, which is the 30, 60, 90. So this person is on a winning roll. We are not going to bet any more money on them. So we've lost $30, $20, and $10 so far on this shooter. We do not want to lose any more on this shooter. We'll let them play it out. So we're not on the table now. Just going to let them have their fun, and bang. 7 out, they're done. We're going to turn the betting back on again. So we've moved on to the next shooter, but we're starting at the next tier, which is 30, 60, 90. So our first bet that goes down on the pass bar, the don't pass, is 30. So we're going to roll it out. So we're 3 crap. We win. We win our $30. This is good. And we're back to the beginning of our progression again. So we're not quite back to where we started, but we've recouped some of those initial losses. So it's essentially a more of a push on the negative side, where if you're losing, you try and recoup. That can get dangerous, because if you lose repeatedly, so you got 3 in the first set, 3 in the second set, 3 in the third set. So if you lose 9 times straight, you could be in for trouble. And that's why I picked $1,000 start buy-in, because that way, if you did have a massive swing against you, you would be able to ride it out. Of course, you should have a stop loss. So you should be able to say, okay, I've burned $200 in this session. That's my stop loss. I'm going to pull out of this session because I've started, and or I'm in the middle of the session and I am down. I've hit my stop loss and I'm going to walk away. It's not my day. So that's up to you to put those things into place. But essentially, let's keep playing. Let's see how we go. So we go a 9, 6, 4, 3, 6, 12, and a 7 out. So we take our winnings and we start our progression over again. So essentially, what we're doing here is I can turn the automation on now that you know how it hangs together, and let's see what happens. Now I'm just adjusting my file here. We're going to auto take the bets. I haven't turned any odds on. We are not doing odds on this. This is pure pure on the normal. Okay, so I'm going to bring my bankroll in here. I love this screen. So this bankroll is here, and this says my current bank is 990. I was up to 1,010. My lowest is 950. Now I'll dial this back. We won't do hyperdrive just yet. This shows that we started at 1,000 and it's tracking our movement through here. So what we'll do is we'll just start the auto roll, and I'll just bring this over here. So here's our auto roll, and it's happening now. So let's watch it and see how it goes. So I lost the first one, so it's ratcheted me up. It's rolling every 2 seconds, so there's an 8, and that's a win. So I'm now up to 30 on the don't pass. This shooter has had 2 successive wins. So now it's on a 9, 10. Should probably speed this up. 5, 10. So basically, while this is rolling, I'll explain what's happening. So essentially, we're not doing any further progressions of the betting. This is a negative, so it's more of a regression. So I might just hide some of these comments. There are no odds, not taking any odds. I could take odds, and we'll do that in another session. This is purely flatline betting. So we've lost twice on this shooter. It's up to $30 on the don't pass. And we're now into the second tier. So we're not gonna bet. We've lost 3 times on this shooter. We are not gonna bet on this shooter. We're gonna let him play it out. That's essentially the system. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kick this into hyperdrive, and let's see if we can play this system out and see what happens. So here we go. Let's bring it in. Let's bring in the hyperdrive. Here we go. So we've started at the lowest level of hyperdrive. The betting on the screen will stop. We're simply now watching the bankroll to see how we're going to go. So we are, you can see up here we've got the current, the highs, the lows, and we can see our bank figure, our bank charting as it goes across. So it's slowly increasing, ever so slowly ratcheting up. It's a slow burn in this case. So of course, if you're on a heavy negative streak, you're going to drop down, and then if you get a bit of a run with the house, you're going to move forward, because we're betting with the house. We're betting against the shooter. So let's ratchet up the hyperdrive again. So we can see over here that we've got 60 rolls per hour. Now, what this is doing, unfortunately, is that's not the total rolls for this session. Over here, I can look at where I'm at. So currently, we're at simulated hours that we've been at the tables for 8 hours. So we're doing 60 rolls per hour. For this session, we're up to 500 rolls. This is just total on any random shooter. So we're up to 500 rolls. I think we'll stop it. We're at about 10 hours of play, and let's see where we're at. So we come across to here. Let's stop the hyperdrive. We have done 10.5 hours play. We've done 625 rolls. Don't worry about the table totals, but it's just purely this session. We began at $1,000. Our highest is $1,280. Our lowest was $930, and our current bankroll is 1250. So we've won $250 after 10 hours of play. That is nothing to write home about, but it's definitely not a loss. So you can see down here that we have 157 wagers. We won 81 times. We lost 76 times. So it's very 50-50, isn't it? It really is very 50-50. And as you would expect, you win half, and then if you're on the don'ts, you're on the other side. So very interesting, very interesting. There's the amount of wages that we put through with the wins. So that's just this is how I'm testing and simulating different strategies. So if I can get a strategy that is positive in nature, where it doesn't matter if you're betting against or with, and you can get a strategy that sort of is strong enough to withstand those wide, varied swings that basically bankrupt you. If you can sort of get a strategy like that's what I'm looking for, to be sort of a baseline, to find a baseline strategy that I can rely on that's faster than standing at the table for $250 for 10 hours. You just can't do that. So the way I used to play with just purely the don'ts, which is what this is, but just a little bit more on steroids. That's something there that where we're going to head with this podcast. Try and find strategies that work in a nice way, and don't leave you exposed to wild swings. So that's it for this podcast. Once again, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or find us, subscribe on YouTube. We're going to put everything on all three of those channels, or come to the website, crapsjourney.com. And interspersed with the podcast, I'm going to have some blog posts in there. I might do some session trip session write-ups as well, or turn those into podcasts as well, because I love just being able to talk it out. Thanks very much. See you again.